Our mics are hot. It's Friday, right? The Nutmeg Tavern is open. Well, the virtual Nutmeg Tavern is open for business. Welcome. I am your host, John Townsends. And, well, we're going to have a great Friday. I am here. The normal person behind the bar is not here because, well, actually, he is here. It's Ryan. Ryan is on the console.
Hey,
there he is.
there you are.
He's close up. You can see him really well.
Hey.
And you're out there. So go ahead, get your drinks ready. You can come in and have a seat in the virtual tavern. A lot of discussion, a lot of topics going on there. You can hear the chatter in the background, can't you? Lots of stuff to talk about this Friday here in the Nutmeg Tavern. Lots of historical stuff. Lots of kind of parallels and connections with the world we have today. Those conversations are always fun to have, but keep it civil, right? So we have been we are really busy. Let me tell you.
You'd think we'd be slow right
yeah,
now.
you'd think everything would have slowed down, but instead, I've gone to double speed so that I can do everything that I need to do, both around the business, whether it's answering people's emails that I don't normally have to, or packing boxes, or processing orders, and then there's still making YouTube videos because I got to make the videos, and lots of other stuff going on, making sure that everybody that works here, that's working at home, has stuff that needs to be done. So. I know that it has been a difficult time for a lot of people, and people are relying on what happens on the channel as a break and to go back to normal life for just a little bit. Had a great, just wonderful conversation. I was in the back room a couple days ago, and a truck came in to deliver goods, and the driver, he got out of the cab and he's immediately like, "Hey, I know you. I was watching yesterday's video just this last night." So it was a great conversation.
And we've got a big thing to say thanks for. Yesterday we had some milestones on the channel.
Yeah. We had the best day for the last 365 days. Yesterday, best day for views, best day for subscribers. Obviously, you guys are sharing the videos, so super thank you for what you do to make the channel popular the way it is. What a fun video Thursdays was, wasn't it? That was one Wednesday, Thursday videos when I make them. Usually, it's one of those. I think of the idea. Maybe I've got an idea for a video the day before, and it slowly kind of percolates in my head, and normally it gets to about 10 o'clock at night, and I've just like, that's a stupid idea, I'm not going to do that. And then when I sleep on it and I get up, and then there's usually something there. Maybe it's a piece of the idea I was thinking of before. And my wife said, you should just read some Nicholas Cresswell, just go out and read some Nicholas Cresswell. And as soon as I started digging through that, all of a sudden that idea came about. So I got ready, got all my gear together, and said, I've got to shoot this in the canoe. So I made sure the canoe was ready to use, got paddles together and all that kind of good stuff, and went out to the pond and shot that video. That was a quick video.
The one really nice day that we've had, John got to get out in the canoe.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Oh, wise wife of yours.
Yeah, well, she's always helpful. Always helpful.
John's firing on all cylinders first thing in the morning, and I am last thing in the evening usually, and we never meet up in the middle. When we're both.
I'm here early, 6 o'clock in the morning. Ryan shows up about 10:45.
But when we are on long drives home from places, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm rearing to talk about some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
John's like under a blanket, chilling in the passenger seat.
So I got a little. Let's see. What's the first thing? I want to talk about this stuff right here, just for a minute. A couple of weeks ago, I did an episode where I talked about Peruvian bark. which is the stuff that is how chloroquine is actually derived from, or they extract it, or whatever they do with it, right? And it was a very, very popular medicine in the 18th century, in the 19th century. And I've got some here. You can see it in the picture. Did you already throw the picture
throwing
up?
it up right now.
Yeah, there you go. There's the picture of it, and it's really thick bark kind of stuff. Doesn't look very tasty. Doesn't look like medicine to me. But there it is. So got a little bit of the bark, so that when somebody's got a malarial fever around here, I can make them a tincture and set them up right. If you get malaria, hey, you know who to come to, and and I'll bet it goes really well with nutmeg.
It's got to. What doesn't?
Exactly. That and nutmeg together. It's going to do whatever you need to be done.
All right, I'm going to hit some super chats up.
Okay,
if that's
go
okay
ahead.
with you. We've got them piling in. Thanks, guys. This one came in before the stream started from Dominika Sanka, and it says, "Yee, I've been waiting for tonight a whole week. Great to see you again." Tabor J. Eaton says, "Thank you for all the great content. New subscriber."
Yes.
Sebastian says, "Love your channel. Thoughts on 18th century LGBTQ plus communities and or thoughts in general. Thanks." And Patricia De Angelis says, "Have you some nutmeg money?" Oh, here. I'm sorry.
Here
have some nutmeg money
okay.
from the UK. Yeah.
Cool.
Cole Johnson, John, Ryan, thank you for continuing to make amazing content during these strange times. You guys are great. Love you all. Stay safe. And Logan C. threw one in there that I got to go find. Oh, there we go. Logan C. says, "Cheers and happy Good Friday. John and Ryan, really enjoyed this week's video while on vacation. Hope you all have a wonderful Easter weekend. I have ran out of mushroom ketchup, so I will need to order some more."
Uh-oh.
Well, you might have to make some, Logan C, because
Yeah.
we're having trouble getting it on our end right now.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for those. John, do you have any comments on them?
I do. Yeah, unfortunately, nutmeg ketchup, whatever the giant factory in the UK that makes it, they aren't making it. I don't know what's going on. It's been a while, even before our current supply issues and whatnot with all that good stuff. It was in short supply then, so obviously there's some sort of major shortage of, I don't know whether they pump it out of the ground, they got a well where they get it, whatever. You can make it though. You can see the episode. Make sure to find the nutmeg ketchup episode.
If you make it, you get the dried bits.
I mean, mushroom ketchup. I said nutmeg ketchup.
Well, nutmeg ketchup, it's on the menu now.
Ooh! I just invented something new and didn't know it. And the other question about the 18th century, LGBTQ stuff. That is a hard question to answer, because normally that stuff in the time period kept pretty under wraps. Obviously, those kind of communities were about in the 18th century, but it was not something that was written about to any great extent, because that was frowned upon by most of society, and so those communities just kept to themselves. So, topic for today. So it's always again like a Wednesday or a Thursday. And thank you all you super chat folks. Whenever it gets to like a Wednesday or a Thursday video, it's like, what am I going to talk about? What's this topic that's going to kind of float to the surface? And I was thinking about doing a picture study today. And I stumbled upon, just immediately as I was starting to do that research, the idea of miniatures. So in the 18th century, little tiny paintings or portraits were something that, I don't know if it was popular, but was certainly done. If I had all my footage here, or if I had it all cataloged perfectly, I'm sure I've got a tiny bit of footage of Gary Zaradka painting some miniatures. When we were at, were you there, Ryan? No.
I think I was there.
It was at Locust Grove. Yeah, we were there at Locust Grove a couple of years ago, and Gary was there, and he was painting some. So just tiny little pieces. Some of these are, in the range of a, well, in a locket size. Other times they're in a little bit bigger, maybe 5 inches tall. But they're tiny, and many of them are painted on ivory or little pieces of wood, sometimes on enameled metal. Just beautiful pieces. Go ahead and bring this first one up. This one's got a little frame you can see. When you paint in miniature, I don't know what happens to the artwork itself, but it becomes something a little different than if you tried to do it in a big way. And there's something very, very, I don't know. I think partially sometimes when they're painted on ivory or bone, they also have a certain kind of depth, color depth that's coming up from underneath instead of having it painted on some other like wood or canvas. So go ahead to the next one. There's a little boy. I'm not sure whether this was a known artist. This one doesn't look like it's on ivory, but probably on paper. This is probably a little bit taller, maybe a 4-inch piece, but made in an oval frame again. Go ahead to the next one. This one, again, I love the expressions on some of these paintings. This one, obviously, I think was painted on that ivory, and you can see it kind of glow by the background material that it's painted on. Painting these is incredibly painstaking. You use a magnifying glass and tiny little brushes. It is so hard to just put down the tiniest little bit of paint. I am just in awe when I watch them done. Go ahead and swap to the next one. A lot of these paintings that at least survive are very well-to-do, very expensive pieces that were done. So, paintings of royalty or royal family people, dukes and duchesses and whatnot. Those are a lot of the paintings that survive. This one, I think what we'll see in the next frame is the back side of this. So you can get an idea about what the back side of some of these is like. Go ahead and move to the next one. This one, I believe, has got an enameled metal back. That's why that's kind of a turquoise color. I think you put sort of like a glaze on the metal, and then you fire it in the kiln, and that melts into a glass that fuses to the metal. Some of these have just a straight up metal back to them, and they would engrave something on it. Imagine today. Today we've got of course our cell phones or cameras in our computers have pictures in them. Sometimes we still print our pictures. That's rarer and rarer these days, which is kind of scary because we lose our pictures in our computers or our phones go bad, and then all these our pictures are gone. They didn't have those pictures to fall back on to remember their loved ones or people when they were away from them. Especially military people, sailors would be away from home for months, even years at a time, and a little tiny portrait, because they didn't have very much room, is the only way they could really kind of solidify the picture of their loved ones in their mind. Go ahead with the next picture. There's another one. Again, I believe this one is on ivory. It's hard to say. I'm trying to remember. I think this might be Mozart and a sister or a mother. I'm not sure. One of these paintings was Mozart. Beautiful. So many beautiful frames. Go ahead and go to the next one. This is a whole set that's in, I believe, the museum in Warsaw, Poland. A lot of these little ones come from Europe, and in Eastern Europe there's a lot of Russian ones. But it was popular all over. You can see all these different kinds of sizes, styles. Some of them are quite small, amazingly beautiful. And go to the next one, Ryan. This one is two things in one, though. This is a miniature. You can see it's very, very expensive. It's got like little, at least faux diamonds in the setup there. They might just be rhinestones. But look at the braid that's around the outside of this little painting. That's hair. That's that boy's hair. So not only was little miniature art important, or just the idea of a lock of hair, but they also did hair art. And that gets more popular in the 19th century, but they were definitely doing that same kind of thing in the 18th century. So this is, kind of undoubtedly for a mother freezing this child's, what this child was like in time. And, there's a little lock of their hair. Go to the next one. Another beautiful locket, and this leads me on to the end of this piece. There's one more after this. This one, well-to-do, but it's not a painted portrait. This one's a silhouette. I'm not sure how this particular one was made. It may be a resist with enamel. The green might be an enamel, and then the base plate metal is underneath this, but they based it upon a silhouette. And you can imagine that there's some kinds of art where it's expensive to get someone to do a painting, but a silhouette is much easier to do. You can go ahead and flip to the next one there. Silhouettes, again, cutting paper and doing silhouette paintings or silhouette pieces of art are another less expensive way that you could still remember a loved one by having a little scissor artist come in and cut a silhouette painting. And there was Laura, is it Mundy? I think it's Lauren Mundy. Ryan will put a link up to her website in the chat. She does artwork just like this and researches the silhouette art. She does an amazing job, and she's even got a website. She works for some historic sites, and she also has a little silhouette business that she does, and people can send her pictures, and she will cut a silhouette. And look, here we go, Ryan. You can. There we go. A few years ago, I was at a conference, and Lauren did this one of me kind of sideways. I should have had a hat on, should have had my well, some kind of hat. I like guys with hats on it. So, and boy, my eyelashes are big.
It was really fun to watch.
Yeah, it was fun. She did yours, didn't she?
Yeah. Mine, and it was pretty nuts. Just like she didn't look at the paper once. She just watched you the whole time.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah, a lot of fun, and it would be a great topic to talk about sometime with somebody who has a little more knowledge about silhouettes than I do. Maybe we can try to have Lauren on sometime.
That would be cool. She was really fun to talk to.
Yeah.
About anything, anyways. Yeah, that would be great. I've got a ton more super chats. And my mic wasn't on. That's why I was like, man, why do I sound so weird? Sorry. So, let me think here. There we are. From Kick Barlam, wondering if you've ever been to Strawberry Bank Historical District in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. CJ Outdoors, any plans on doing a fishing show? Would love to see gear and used from the time period. Ayers? I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but that's my shot. We hear a lot about trade muskets, but were trade swords a thing? Aaron C. John, this could be a pharmaceutical commercial. Ask your doctor if nutmeg and Peruvian tree bark are right for you.
Yes. And the side effects are, well, you don't want to know.
I don't want to talk about that. JMS, happy Good Friday. Just bought a commonplace book and would love some background info on it. It's practicality and uses. Love the channel. Mike Crook. Happy Good Friday. God bless you all. Digital Dummy sent a gif of somebody dancing back and forth with heart eyes. It was very, very cute and fun. Sue O'Connor, thanks for being here, Townsends and Bar Crowd both. I don't think I'm speaking only for myself when I say this is the only social interaction that feels still normal. DTH420. Hey, John, just found your channel Monday and have watched almost all the vids. I love you and your work. Have you been told you look like Fred Willard? That's all I got for you.
So, no, I have not been to Strawberry Bank Museum. I've talked to some folks there. Would love to visit sometime. And we'll try. We'll see what happens. The future. Fishing show. Well, I've got it on my calendar, kind of penciled in. Let's say it that. Actually, I was out experimenting with. I'm almost stop talking about that. Trade swords. I don't think so. I have been looking at some of the inventories. We talked about the inventory here, the 1812 inventory or 1811 inventory at Fort Wayne. Even the inventory of the trade goods where they set up Fort Detroit in 1703. I don't believe either one of those inventories, while they both included guns, did not include swords. So I don't believe the Native Americans were interested in swords to any great extent. I think they were, using either, they would use in war and in, as a helpful tool, tomahawks, knives, and muskets and guns. So those are the three main things, and they would make their own war clubs, etc. So I don't think that they found swords to be all that helpful, and so the traders did not have any great demand for them. Commonplace book. The best place to really get a good feel for the commonplace book is either to look at period commonplace books to see what's happening. And there are some period commonplace books to find, although I don't have any good links right now to point you to. But also the front of your commonplace book is full of instructions on how to use the commonplace book. And it is this interesting place to sort of capture all your thoughts and ideas and different little things that you would grab a hold of, sort of like an Evernote for the 18th century, and then a way to categorize them or index them in the front. So those instructions are built into the commonplace book so that you've got that to refer to all the time. Although it would be an interesting, kind of video to show that and show a period one, or even one that somebody's been filling out and how it sort of what the example is and how it works out. Yes, Sue O'Connor, with all the weird things, the channel just keeps doing the thing it does, and we still meet here in the tavern, and it's the same as it always was, right? And welcome everyone that's new to the channel. We got all these new subscribers, and check out that back catalog. There are, and it's hard to go through them all because there's 700, 800 videos there to choose from. So good luck. Sometimes on that, I think on that main channel page, you can do videos. You hit the video tab, and I believe there's a little search icon that you can type in searches that just search our videos. If there's a particular topic that you're looking for, that can be helpful to dig into that back catalog because it's so huge. It's really, really impossible to kind of dig out all the nuggets. You can only find them kind of by accident sometime. There's a lot of videos there. So thank you everyone there on Super Chat. I want to get to, I got to break up the Patreon thing again in half because it's just been, the outpouring of support on Patreon has been incredible. And not only Patreon, but what's happening, because I've been processing a lot of orders. I don't normally, I'm not normally in that department. It's just amazing to see the stuff coming through the order department. It's insane about how much people want to help us out. So here we go. Lauren Karen. These are the new Patreon supporters. Sorry, new Patreon supporters this week. And Patreon is one of those ways that people support us with just $2, $3, $5 a month or something like that. It's this great kind of ongoing support. Lauren Karen, Matt Barnes, Valerie Grasso, Michael Foder, Laura Marie Flake, someone titled What's Up Lizzie? And then there's Adri N. and Brett P. Andres Rosales, Philip Conguilaro, Michael Steenson. I don't know if I wrote that one down right. Emily Hudspeth. There's the first half of all those Patreon supporters this week.
Man, that's crazy.
It is.
Thank you guys so much.
Amazing.
I've got a ton of questions.
Okay.
Not a ton related to the
all right.
topic. Related to the topic, somebody was asking what other kinds of technical painting were happening in the time period.
Yeah, technical painting. There were a lot of. Actually probably even almost more things like architectural paintings. People were doing those, and there were military paintings. So some people would do military paintings because they were trying to document something. So there were little paintings of coastlines so that you could identify coastlines. And then there were a lot of, this is the age of studying nature, empirical study, and the age of there's a word I'm looking for, but it doesn't matter. Where the idea of studying nature and painting nature and getting it as exact as possible is going on a lot. Whether it's birds and bugs and all kinds of animals, so there's a lot of that kind of work done. So there's a great quantity of technical painting happening in the time period.
Some people are asking about products that they can't find on the website, namely the Journal of Nicholas Creswell and the 2-quart pot.
Ah, yes.
If they're going to be available again.
Yeah, so it's always a difficult, it's a battle between shipping and customer service and marketing, and even a tiny business like this, about the idea of, if we're out of stock on a product, should it be on the website and say out of stock? Should it be on the website and say out of stock, but you can still order it? Or should it disappear altogether? And so some of our products just sort of disappear altogether because we don't want to frustrate people, but it's still frustrating. 2-quart pots are actually, we've got a small supply from the local foundry, but they haven't been sandblasted yet, so they aren't ready to go out. Sandblasting them gives them a nice smooth finish. So 2-quart pots, yeah, they'll be available sometime very soon. What was the other product?
Nicholas Creswell.
Nicholas Creswell books should be on the website, but it says something like it's going to take a while to restock. Everybody came in on Thursday and they just exploded our stock, ate it all up.
That was nuts.
Incredible. Thank you for that kind of support. You can, I think you can still order them, but it's going to take a little bit of time. I'll probably change the link on the web and send people to the same book that is available on Amazon. So that's a possibility too.
Okay. Let me think here. Oh, Easter traditions. People are wondering about Easter eggs, Easter food. What did they do about Easter?
I have not studied Easter particularly in depth, but it's going to be very similar to the other religious holidays, especially in North America. And the same holds true for areas in Great Britain, depending on where people were from. The traditions are completely different. It could not be. It's like you're going to different countries when you come to North America in the 18th century, especially before things start to, before the revolution, say 1760 or 1750. You'll go from one colony to another, and the culture is in traditions, same thing, right? They are completely different. And so you can see that a lot when you look at people's journals from the time period. They'll come from one place or they'll come from another country, and they'll stop at a place and they'll talk about it and what it's like, and then they'll go 100 miles to another colony, and it's a whole nother world they're living in. It's a whole different culture, a whole different tradition. So there are some areas in the colonies where religious holidays, especially ones like Easter, are very, they are worshipped or have just plain food traditions, whatever it is, are completely different. So you'll go to some place like Pennsylvania, which has a very strong Quaker constituent that builds up, and the culture is from that. And they were very anti-religious holiday. They just did not do it. They didn't encourage it. They discouraged it as much as possible. They even fined people for letting their servants work or not work on Christmas. Like, no, you have to make your servants work on Christmas. So they had some completely different ideas about what was important with these holidays. So you've got it basically not being held as any kind of a thing in Pennsylvania. You've got a different tradition that's up in the Northeast, and then you go down in Virginia and you'll get yet a different tradition, Anglican church tradition, and you'll go to Maryland and you'll get a Catholic church tradition. So there's a lot of differences going on.
Somebody just asked about tree bark bread. What do you got on that?
Yeah, so not here in North America to any great extent, but
this person was from Norway.
Exactly, Norway. They would take that inner bark of pine trees and pound it up and turn it into a powder and make like bread out of it. I can't imagine it. And there are some people that write about it in the 18th century. Some say it's not edible, and obviously, people survived on it. So I have no idea what it's like. It'd be very interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked about things like acorn flour and stuff like that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of Native Americans doing, that's a food source for Native Americans at the time period. I don't know how much of that was used by, settlers, people on the frontier. And there are different kinds of oak trees and different kinds of oak flour that you would make, and some need to be washed more than others to get the tannins out. So yeah, it's a very interesting topic.
Let me see here. Did you talk about Easter eggs specifically?
Yeah, I don't know any. I
Okay.
don't have anything for you on that one.
Somebody asked, "Where's Josh when he livened up the live stream?" Is what they said. So
You don't want to know how live the live stream would be when Josh is here.
If you're looking for Josh, keep your eyes peeled. He's going to show up real soon on the channel.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, I
think
forgot
on Monday,
about that.
right?
Yeah, you'll see him on Monday. I hope.
How about a video on superstition in the time period? Someone asks.
Yeah, superstition. There is, just like the idea with the holidays and how it's different, there are different kind of superstition, superstitious traditions in these different cultures, and everybody's got superstitions. Even if they say, I don't have any superstitions, that almost is a superstition in and of itself. So there's a lot of that going on, and there's some very, very interesting things that we would find, well, very, very odd. I'll just say it like that. Lucky books and sort of fortune teller books from the time period where people would sort of have a book for their own. There's some of that. And then there are certain traditional kind of folk superstitions that get carried along with society. And I don't have any, of course, off the top of my head, any great examples, but full of those different cultural traditions. Each have their own, areas. You come from one particular county, and this kind of superstition it comes along with it. So it's really a fun study.
Are you staying in the cabin during this virus lockdown?
No, I'm not staying in the cabin. Although I was planning a cabin sleep-in very, very soon.
I was planning that too. I just hadn't told you. Yeah.
Stay out of my cabin. Build your own cabin.
Wait, come on now.
One person in the cabin at a time.
So, you gonna help me build my cabin? I helped you build your cabin.
I'll give you pointers.
Great. So somebody asked about the large brass ornaments that are on churches and buildings and how they were made in the time period.
Well, those pieces, like so many other things, are cast in brass in the time period more than likely, and you would do a piece like that probably in sand casting. And sand casting ornaments like that, as long as if they're especially flat, are actually fairly easy to do in a sand casting, and kind of fun and interesting. Although casting brass is it's a tricky little thing to do. It's a lot easier to cast things in pewter, not so high a temperature. But yeah, cast in sand that's wetted with clay, and you take your pattern and you pound the sand around it so that it holds the design. You take the pattern out and pour brass into the hole, and off you go. And a lot of finishing gets done after the fact.
Yeah.
A lot of filing and sanding and all that.
Somebody asked, can you add cinnamon to your Johnny cakes?
Oh, well, I'm sure you could. I don't know if they would have done that. Sort of like mixing high and low in that kind of situation. Johnny cakes are a quick, easy kind of cheap food, whereas you add cinnamon to something and it's a fairly high-end food.
Okay, we're going back to Super Chat land because they're stacking up.
Uh-oh.
Jake Cheney, thank you for your donation. He didn't have anything to say, but we
Thank you,
appreciate
Jake.
that. Christopher Ramsey, greetings and happy Easter from Glastonbury, Connecticut. P.S. Strawberry Bank in Portsmouth, New Hampshire is worth the trip.
Oh, yeah.
Christine Pearson, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, has some great historical sites. People like Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Josh Hogan, finally I get to see your live stream. Just wanted to say thank you for the recipes, history lessons, and love of coffee and eggs recipes.
Oh, yeah.
JMS, I gotta go find this guy real quick. JMS, okay. Sorry for the second question. You definitely deserve more donations. What were some of the most influential books, stories of the time period? Is there a reason why? Morally, philosophically, etc.
Well, there's a lot of very influential pieces that are being written in the 18th century. In the 17th century, that's influencing the 18th century. There's just a ton of religious works that are being written and highly influential in society. There's also the books like Clarissa and books that are the beginnings of novels, and they've got sort of a moral to the story, and so there's the start of that, and that's starting to be very influential in the 18th century time period. And you even have kind of Robinson Crusoe-like stories and some of those other works. And obviously you have philosophical works, Voltaire and Locke and these folks that are writing just massively influential works for the time period. So the study of that stuff just is, it's never ending. Digging in and seeing what influence a piece of work has on society as it goes forward, and how that still affects us today.
Apparently, it's pronounced Portsmouth if you live in those parts.
Yes.
I've been saying it wrong.
Portsmouth. Yes.
I'd like to think they're laughing with me and not at me.
Is Mystic Seaport right up there? I think so.
I don't know. You guys tell us. Mystic Seaport?
Yeah.
James Ellsworth sent in a donation. Thank you so much. Denise Maloney Pyron. Loved the video on the river in the canoe. Informative, but so peaceful to watch. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm hoping to do some more river stuff soon.
We were planning a trip in May, but man, who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to make things happen.
It's like, well, never mind. I was about to go on a tangent, but that's not what I'm here for. What about music in the 18th century? that was a comment.
I see.
Take that anywhere you want to go.
Okay. There's a lot of music that's going on in the 18th century. Classical sort of music that we would think of today. There's a lot of folk music, and what's happening with individuals, just family life and music. I think we miss out on music a lot in modern society because we rely on recorded music, and we believe, because recorded music, of course, is professional and perfected and, you know, highly produced. That music that is produced, that just individuals in a room, a family, whatever, isn't worth doing because it isn't perfect. It isn't, you know, something that's recorded and 1,000 million people listen to it. But I think that it's the real connection to music that we've lost, that personal connection to music. So I would encourage everyone, even if you think you're bad at music, to do music, even if it's singing songs to yourself, you know, doing that in your work. Were you going to say something, Ryan? Ryan wants to chime in. He's a music person.
Well, it's just an ongoing kind of conversation, not argument, but tease each other about this kind of thing in our house, because my daughters, for the most part, and all of my kids are still pretty young, but my daughters are into, you know, whatever poppy kind of happy sounding thing they hear from the radio.
Yeah.
And my son has gravitated a lot more toward punk rock and like grunge influenced stuff, which is what I grew up on. And so I think everybody is growing to appreciate everything, but it's that's what he loves about that kind of music. It's that it's not made to be perfect.
Right. It's very handmade music. You know, around our house, you know, there's a clarinet, and there are half a dozen guitars and tin whistles and different kinds of instruments that they're just stuck to the walls, right? It's like, oh, I feel like making music now. You grab an instrument and you do something with it. And even if it isn't, again, you know, something that's amazing and I'm going to perform in front of thousands of people, it's good for you. So.
Okay, so here's a question. We have a lot of ways to, like potpourri, incense, to keep the house smelling fresh. What were they doing to keep the house fresh?
Well, they did bring in some kinds of herbs, and just they would even do things like put just straw on the floor, but they would do other fresh smelling things, putting it on the floor. You might hang different kinds of herbs, and they would help you know, keep bugs away or bring in a nice scent. So there were certainly certain things like that you would do. Different kinds of flowers that you might bring in. You might bring them in for their smell more than for their looks. And they were used to, you know, harvesting their surroundings for those types of things. We generally, you know, try to level our surroundings and make sure it's like, well, I want nothing but grass, you know, for 100 yards around my house or whatever. It's not, there's no resources out there. I mean, it's a nice playing field if you get out there and play, but that's about it. Whereas they had all these, you know, kind of things growing up that they would use.
So I want to make note of, there's a ton of encouragement in here about the recent videos that you've been doing. Sometimes it's a little funny when it's like, hey, John, go think of something and make a video. Let's make a video. And it's like, oh, well, John has to go think of something and make a video. But you're doing great, and they're liking it. So I want to encourage you with that.
You know, I definitely, as soon as this stuff started up and I was thinking about people, you know, I was like, you know, I'm stuck at home, you know, how can I encourage people through the channel with those things? And I'm glad that you found it helpful, and I love doing them. I mean, it's always an adventure. I like the process. Pottery is one of those processes. Making videos is one of those processes where you start with the thing, where you start with an idea, and you know, you start to form it and you think it's going to turn into something. And with pottery, you know, you glaze it and you put underglaze on it and you're forming it, and then you put it in the kiln and you turn up the temperature to 2,000 degrees and you open it up the next day and you never know what you're going to get. The colors have all changed, the shape has changed, the texture's changed, and sometimes it explodes or it melts or bad things happen, and other times beautiful accidents, or it turns out just exactly the way you thought. You just never know what you're going to get. Videos are like that too. I start out with an idea, I shoot a little video, I shoot a picture, I talk, you know, whatever it is, and then I put it in the box, which is Aaron. Here you go, Aaron. Have fun with that. And he goes tinker, 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 and then this new thing comes out, and it's always amazing. Exactly, just how it all works. Totally is. I'm going to do the second half of Patreon while we're here. Second half. Now, who did I get last time? I stopped there. So the second half of the Patreon supporters, new this week. TLR Riddle. It's a different person. Riddle. Nick Batchelder. I hope that's right. Eileen Miles. I should write better. Eric. Brandon Stoltz. Jacob Korchik. Ann Elliott. I want to thank Jeff Wozniak. He upped his level. He went from like nutmeg to mushroom ketchup or something. Alex I, or Alex the First. He could be like a king. And Richard Goodall. Those are the new Patreon people. Some people also support us with just like a one-shot little PayPal. Here you go. So the PayPal folks are Chad Howell, or Chad Howe, and Elizabeth Kilmer. Thank you guys for supporting us in that way. You make it monetarily possible for us to do what we do, because it isn't just me, paddling around a canoe. It takes time, it takes equipment, it takes paying Aaron to do those wonderful things, do my videos. So all that takes a lot of support, and you guys help make it happen. What you got, Ryan?
We got a bunch of super chats.
Super chat.
Yeah. Speed and Style Tony says, keep the great videos coming.
Only the great ones.
Right.
I'll do it.
Can you please, he also says, can you please omit the terrible no, I'm joking.
I'll stop doing the bad ones.
Lumpy Thumb, no question this time. Just wanted to say hi.
Thank you,
and
Lumpy
shout
Thumb.
out to my colonial posting peeps. Nutmeg. William, 1992, sends a donation. Greetings from Australia. Thanks for the history and all the cooking. I've been finding recipes from the 18th century in Australia, but there is a lot of improvisation due to the shortages they had.
Well, and using whatever material whatever. When you're in a new location, what do you do? It's like, okay, is kangaroo the same as mutton or the same as beef?
Tristan Ponader. I'm going to go with Ponader. Could you do content on Lewis and Clark's supplies?
Lewis and Clark supplies.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Nicole Texler. Have you visited Carolyn Park in Dayton, Ohio? They focus on the 1850s, brew sour beer using traditional open-air methods, have 1850s tavern dinners. Reminds me of your vids.
How long ago was it?
That was less than a month ago.
Yeah, less than a month ago. If you see the tavern, the recent one where we do the tavern dinner and Rick and Hillary are playing the music, that was shot at that park.
Yeah, and we toured the brewery.
Yes.
And we talked to them about a lot of really fun
Possibly
ideas.
going there and shooting a video about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you, Nicole. We did really like that place, and they were really great people. David Dinelli. How you doing, David? It's
Hello.
good to see you. What did they do with moss? I've heard it was used for cleaning. What else?
Yeah, moss, you would use it to, they used it for insulation. And certain kinds of moss and cobweb were used to staunch bleeding in wounds. So you put that on there, and it would cause it to scab up quickly or whatever. So yeah, moss is used for a lot of different things. Moss is fun stuff. I actually have a moss garden right outside my house on purpose.
Tristan Ponader said that's the first time anybody's ever said their name right. So take
Give
that,
Ryan
Portsmouth
a golden
people.
star.
Take that. I can say something right. I bet you Ponader's not from Portsmouth. Okay. I won't be spiteful anymore. Will you film any period hunts? That's a question.
Oh, it's hard to do. And so I don't know. Well, we've tried. You know, the minute you get the camera out, anything go, pew, there's nothing there, you know. It's just crickets.
Yeah, we have tried on several occasions.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, honestly, I don't know. We're on YouTube.
Yeah. It's probably not the very best venue for that kind of output.
Will the live stream be on tomorrow as a video?
I do my best, so depending on when I get a chance to do any work with it. Sometimes I, chop it up and fix it. This one, I don't think it'll need any fixing. Last week, I had to cut the section out where the audio wasn't working. I blame Ryan. But
we did a test run.
I know. Everything always works right before we start the live stream.
It was
and
really
then
going smooth.
It all breaks as soon as you hit the go button.
Before you guys showed up, we had like a 15-minute conversation with them.
I don't know. But yes. A quick note for you. Do you still have more?
I do.
Okay, you hold on to them for just a second. We'll get through them. Quick note to all you Patreon folks, make sure to check your email. I'm going to try to be doing some special Patreon little live streams, but you make sure to check your email for that.
Somebody just, Cody Harris got on Super Chat and said, the mug you have is awesome. Are they on your website?
Soon we're expecting a shipment of, I think the ones we've got coming are just black with the boar's head on it. We should, they might come next week. Hope so.
Yeah. You never know when something's going to come in the mail these days.
Yeah, supply is pretty goofy right now.
Yeah. So somebody said, do you study the same century in other countries? I'm saying other as in non-European or colonial.
Well, I can't spend a lot of time there, but I always am interested, especially for compare and contrast. Whether it's, Asian things that are happening in the 18th century, because it's so different, but some of those things are leaking through into European and North American affairs, or different places in the world. Some of those things that are happening in the 18th century are exactly the same, and some things are just diametrically opposed. So it's always a great study. I just don't have I don't have enough time to dig in on some of those and do intensive studies on that.
All right. How about the earliest cookbook you can recommend that is still easy enough to understand?
Ooh. Yeah, so there's some 17th century cookbooks that are tough. Hard to read. Especially if you get a facsimile printing, because the printing technology just certainly does get a lot better in 150 years from 1650 to 1800. So there's just the readability, and then there's the understandability. If you want some of those earlier ones, there are different cookbook versions that are printed that help you out. They print them in new typeface and take out the funny S's and all kinds of good stuff just to make them more readable. I think there's a Gervais or something like that. I can't remember his name. But yeah, there are some. I would say the earliest one that we've got that's nice and readable is the Complete Housewife from the 1730s. That one is really one of my kind of go-tos, other than Hannah Glass and some of the later cookbooks. It's one of the best early ones.
Last question I have. Seriously, why is every recipe nutmeg related?
Seriously, it has to do with the idea that nutmeg was expensive, and it was, well, if you think about cooking today, one of the things that shows up in a lot of recipes, not as much as nutmeg does, but today's recipe is something like vanilla. And I think most people don't understand vanilla, and that is vanilla is it's a scent carrier more than it is a flavor carrier. And nutmeg was like that too. It's bringing in all these wonderful smells to the food, or giving rich smells to the food, versus just a straight up taste, right? So nutmeg is there because of that factor, and because once you say, oh, you put nutmeg in this, you've changed the class of this recipe from to, ooh, this is good. This must be good stuff, right? I just put the magic powder in the food, so it's got to be good.
Of course, you would never have too much of that magic powder. We want it.
Magic powder. Well, folks, it has been a wonderful time here in the Nutmeg Tavern. I love having everyone come in and visit. I always have fun. Great fun questions. And, you know, we get together and we get to talk about all these things. It's always a blast. I want to thank you for your just outpouring of support that we have here on the channel. You share our videos, makes all the difference in the world. The wonderful support by Super Chat, by Patreon, by PayPal, and going to our website and purchasing things like mugs when they're available, if they're ever available. All those things make a huge difference to what we're able to do and how we reach out into the world on YouTube. Thank you so much for all you do, and I hope you have a tremendous weekend.